Hey guys, I decided to try to make this video and tell my story on why I'm doing this. It's pretty long, so there may be some goof ups, and I may have to go back a couple times. So I hope you can bear with me on that. And there's the first one already. But it all started back in October of 2018. I got separated from my wife, and I started to drink more than usual, maybe a little bit, and I was just pretty much acting a little goofy, posting a lot of dumb things on Facebook. And one thing I posted got the attention of the police, and they did a wellness check on me, and they forced me to go to the psych ward, or they said they were going to tase me, even though I didn't threaten anybody or myself. They just thought, from their own opinion, I had to go to the psych ward. So I did that. And when I got out, well, before I got out, they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, and I never had a manic or depressive episode. They just decided to label me as bipolar, and I said I wasn't. I was just dealing with a lot of stress with the separation, and I couldn't see my little girl at the time. And I didn't take the medication, so I left, and then I went back to just partying and drinking a little bit too much, and I got into some more dumb altercations being at the bar, and I did a little bit of time in jail for one incident, which I explained on my page. I don't feel like getting into right now, but that led me to get a PFA put on me, and it was a nonviolent PFA. They just wanted to keep me away from my little girl, and I respect them for that because I was a little bit goofy at the time. So I had to deal with that, and eventually I posted some more dumb things on Facebook, and I violated that PFA, and I did 3 months in jail. And when I got out, my sister and my niece moved into the house with me, and I went back to work, and I wasn't seeing my girl like I wanted to. I had to jump through hoops to get her back, and I eventually did, but I was just dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety, and I just couldn't focus at work. And I went back to the psych ward, and that's whenever they thought I was pretty much in the depressive phase of it. So they gave me medication. Seroquel was one of them. And I got back out, and I took the medication for probably 3 to 5 months, and it just wasn't working. So I quit the medication cold turkey like an idiot, and I fell into a psychosis. I was just having some crazy things going on in my head because it just wasn't operating properly. And if you know what Seroquel does to you, and whenever you get off of it, you understand what happened to me. And I ended up hitting my sister and niece that were living with me, and I ended up going to jail for that. And before I went to jail, they took me to the psych ward where they tied me to my bed with handcuffs. Every hour, they would switch one hand and one foot opposite on the hour while I was sleeping even. So I never got any good sleep. They doped me up with 4 different meds, and then they took me to jail, and I did 8 months there. And I got out, and I had to jump through the hoops again to get my daughter back, and I did. I started my own business during this time as well. And then I started to get into arguments with a lot of the social workers and other people involved in my case. And they thought I may be going manic again because I was disagreeing with a lot of their opinions. And I was told that I had to go to the psych ward or I was going to be put back in jail. Well, I went to the hospital and I talked to the medical professional there who is an expert on this, and I told her everything that was going on in my life, which is another hour story, which I don't need to get into right now. And she's like, "You're just really stressed out, and there's no need for you to be put in the psych ward." And I was like, "Can you tell some people that?" And she did, but then she came back and said, "It's either here or you're going to jail." So I was forced to go back to the psych ward, and they continued to me on the same medication I was on anyways. And they took my little girl away from me again. And that was tough, you know. I got her 2 times and lost her 2 times, all on this medication. And then August 4th, got into a pretty bad, triggered, emotional day. Had a lot of flashbacks of my life and how it used to be great. And I just sort of spiraled out of control. And it was another day, which if I told you everything, it's another hour video. But it ended up with me being chased by the police, and my truck would not get out of cruise control. And I started to panic even more. And then it finally ran out of gas. I got out of the truck. I went underneath my truck, and I just tried to meditate it to make it like all go away. And I just played dead. And the cops pulled me from underneath my truck, and they couldn't register a heart rate. So they hit me with Narcan, and they took me to jail. And when I was in jail, they put me on, or in the 3x3 room, handcuffed to a little chair, and I was scared to death. I urinated myself, and then I felt guilty for doing that. That I cleaned it up by rubbing back and forth on it because I thought they were going to kill me if they saw that I pissed myself. And then it gets a little hazy from there because they thought I was coming off of drugs because they found my bipolar medication in my glove box. So they gave me other medication on top of that medication, and on top of being hit with Narcan, they gave me something to come off of other drugs. And I just don't remember too much. It gets a little fuzzy. I remember being in 100% restraints where I couldn't move nothing but my fingers with a mask over my head. I was put in a cell by myself. I don't remember talking to anybody. And then eventually I did get out of that. And I just remember getting into an altercation with the correction officers where I was being tased. I got tased at least 4 times, and they pepper sprayed me, and it didn't have an effect on me. So something was going on with all the chemical mixtures going in my body that they put me on. And then ended up doing 75 days in jail for a DUI charge that if I was guilty of, it would have been a maximum of 3 days. And I'm currently on house arrest since I got out October 21st, and I might be done with that at the end of January. The DUI is still pending. I can't go back and work for my business because they don't consider it a real business because I don't have insurance on it right now. So that's it in a nutshell. I probably left a lot of things out, but now you sort of understand why sometimes maybe people going through a little bit of a tough time can be misdiagnosed with a disorder that they take medication that can actually make them worse. Because I realized whenever I was in jail, I had an excellent psychologist who, she wasn't a trauma therapist, but she did something and she brought a lot out. So I hope this brought attention to some of the situations that's been going on. And I'd love to hear your story. If you want to know more, feel free to ask. You know, I'm an open book, and I hope this brought everything together. And my goal with this page is not to, shut down Big Pharma. It's just to bring attention to how many people are just having a bad day, bad week, bad month, and they get put on these medications because these psychiatrists brainwash them into thinking that there's a chemical imbalance. And that's not true. It's a neurological misfiring. It has nothing to do with a chemical imbalance in your brain. If you want to learn more, just Google some of the stuff that's on my pages and just do your own research. I think things are heading in a different direction when it comes to the treatment of mental illness. I highly recommend Dr. Amen book, The End of Mental Illness, and you can see a lot of the books I recommend on my pages. So please do your own research. I don't want this to happen to anybody else, and not looking for a pity party because I'm guilty of a lot of dumb things, and a lot of it has to do with alcohol, trauma, and stress, not a chemical imbalance like many people think. So hope you guys have a good day, and don't make fun of me for this. I love you guys. Later.